Hello, everyone. It is the third Friday of the month, and that means I am collaborating with some of my crafty friends. We are creating our way through this Close to My Heart sketchbook, Volume 6, and today's pattern is number 17. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of my little 3-ring binder that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. And this sketch shows about 8 pictures of varying sizes here. It looks like these pictures are 4x6, and then these over here with the banner looks to be about 3x4s. I plan on using more than 8 pictures today, and it looks like there are about 7 different colors of cardstock in this layout. I'm going to go ahead and pull this other side up for you in case you don't have this sketchbook and you want to get the measurements off of here. I really love working with sketches. Sometimes I copy them exactly as they are designed, and sometimes I use them as a springboard and I change things up. But overall, it just sparks my creativity and makes me happy to create things that can be enjoyed by others. The photos I'm using for this layout shows my family walking around the park at Silver City, taking in all the lights and the festivities and just really enjoying that festive atmosphere. I love how these pictures really capture the joy and the excitement of the season. There's just something so magical about Silver City during Christmas, with all of the lights twinkling and the air just filled with the holiday cheer. I think this toy soldier guy still works at the city today. Now, this is of the boys up there with Tinker the Talking Tree, and that's my youngest son, Casey, right there in the little blue hat, and then that's my son, Kylan, over there beside him. Every year we stay for the parade in the evening time. Rudolph's Holly Jolly parade, I think is what it's called. I mean, people will line up. I mean, it is like shoulder to shoulder, probably like 2 or 3 rows back. And to me, you can just feel the love and the excitement during that parade. The paper that I'll be using in this layout today is from Echo Park, and it is called the Christmas Salutations number 2. In this kit, it has 12 of the 12 by 12 double-sided papers, and then 1 sheet of the stickers here. And let you look at these little stickers. And then I have the papers laid out here for you, front and back side, so that you can see. They have an awful lot of these pocket cards. And these pocket cards, since I've gotten back into scrapbooking after like a 18-year hiatus, I have learned that there are lots of new things. Some things have changed, some things have stayed the same, and things have different names for them. But like pocket cards, some people call them journaling cards, some people call them insert cards. But I really like that there is such a large choice of these cards. They're a great addition to your scrapbook layout. So now that I have chosen up some paper, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of lay down my pictures and see how this all looks, how my pictures look on the paper, and see if it makes them pop. Now, sometimes I have a white border printed around my pictures, and this time I chose not to print them with a white border. I hope that with this, what I call the busyness of the designer paper here, I hope that not having that white will help the pictures pop off a little bit. We'll see how that works for me. I do like how the reds are brought out in the pictures here, and you know, even the greens. And even though this Tinker tree doesn't match the greens here, I don't think that it looks really, you know, I don't think it looks bad. So I'll just have to start getting some things cut and get started. Actually, before I get started cutting papers, I want to show you my process of picking pictures. Now, I had about 28 pictures from this trip, and I had to go through them and narrow down the pictures for the best ones that would tell the story. And as you can see, all these pictures are 4x6s. Now I couldn't get 28 4x6s on here, and so I did get them narrowed down to about 11, and I couldn't even get 11 4x6s on this 12x12 layout without using flip flaps. And I didn't want to use flip flaps for this layout. So I totally went old school. And by old school, I mean I got out the graph paper and I drew out the graph paper. I drew out my 12x12 layout here. My dad was an architect on the side. And so whenever we would move things around the house, he would draw up the furniture, you know, the room and the furniture. And then he would measure or move them around and, you know, just make sure that things would fit where he wanted them to fit. So I decided, pull in some of my dad's skills here that he taught me and do the same thing with my layout. Now, I had to make some decisions because, again, going back to I can't get all these 4x6s on here. Well, then I had to make some decisions about some different sizes like 3x3s, 2x2s. So what 4x6 pictures can you take, and how do you do that? Measure them down without losing your pictures, without losing that actual image that you're wanting to catch. Well, let me show you a little trick with that too. So I'm going to use this picture with Casey and Kylan up here on the stage with Tinker the Tree. And so I'm not a math wizard. Math was not my thing. My husband is the math wizard, and he explained to me when we were going through this is that you want to cut your picture into a square first. So the dimensions of this square is a 4x4. And he explained that once you have it into a 4x4 and you have what you want into a square frame, then you can shrink it down to a 3x3, to a 2x2, 1x1. It's all about being square. So here's my 4x6. Now, this over here is irrelevant to my story. All of this space over here. So I knew that I wanted to start over on this side because this is where my story is right in here. So took my 4x4 and I scooted it over, and it really worked perfect. It just got Casey in there and part of that other tree, and then it got the elf and Tinker. It got the story in the picture for my 3x3. And then that's what we did with the other pictures that we shrank down to another 3x3, and then these 3 pictures are 2x2s. Was able to shrink them down and keep my images, keep the important parts that I wanted to tell of the story about our trip there. Now I had a little bit of method to my madness here, because this 4x6 is a portrait. I put P for portrait going this way of the tree, and then I put 4x6 going this way, and Tinker and the Elf. I did the same thing, only here I kind of messed it up because I wrote 4x6 this way, but I needed it to go this way. So I wrote train going the correct way, so I knew that it would be a portrait instead of landscape. And then this one was the nighttime tree, and it was the same story. I kind of wrote that sideways there. And then the soldier, and then our little family portrait, and then I've got my 3x3s and my 2x2s. So then it was a matter of getting them arranged all between this. Now, if you watched any of my other previous videos, I've explained about focal pictures, like the star of the show, the supporting cast, which is the supporting pictures that tell the rest of the story. And I like to tell my stories on a layout more or less in a chronological order, you know, telling the story like you read left to right. So my first one would be the family portrait of me and the boys. That's where we started off at. And then, so I've got that there, and I could just move it around. And then we've got the tree. And then we went to go see Tinker and the Elf. And so I've got space up here for a title. And then I can do some journaling down here. And then I can just move stuff around. I've got the soldier. I could put him up here because it was part of the parade. We've got the train that starts the parade off. We can put the night tree down here. You know, and I could put my 3x3s in here. And then I could even do some 2x2s. My hands are dry, so they're kind of not really cooperating the best. But you don't want to lotion them up and then try and put a layout together. So I could lay things out like this, or I could maybe even, you know, put my 2x2s going down this way, like how it is here on the sketch. So as you can tell, I'm totally not doing the picture thing here on the sketch, but I'm getting some different ideas and using it as a springboard. So I just messed with this for a while, and then I think I've kind of got it here laid out the way that I want it. So now I'm going to go ahead, cut my cardstock down, and cut my pictures apart that I need to, and then get everything actually dry fitted. My husband and I started a family tradition when the boys were young. We have been season pass holders to Silver Dollar City for probably about 22 years or so. And we make sure to go at least once for every season that they have at the park. And one of our favorite times is Christmas. In 2003, they had an 80-foot tree at the front of the park. And each evening, they lit the tree and the lights were in sync with music. It was just really a sight to behold. And I always got a thrill myself going to the stage show with Tinker the Talking Tree. And I recall always being so excited about the boys going up on stage. But now, here later in life, I have learned that my oldest son actually hated going up on stage there. Now, the parade is a huge event in the evening. It includes floats and toy soldiers and Rudolph and, well, of course, Santa. I mean, really? Is it a Christmas parade if Santa is not in it? I'm using my T-ruler here to lay my title out straight. Now, I cut my title using my Cricut. I'm using these fun embellishments I made with the Stampin' Up! Products to give the layout a warm and festive vibe to match the Christmas spirit of the photographs. I will list all of the supplies I used down below. It has been so fun to look back on this trip, especially now that it's been over 2 decades. I inked up around all of the edges of my cardstock with the Reindeer Distress Archival ink. I just feel like this adds some dimension to the layout. When I came across this little pocket card that says, "Here comes Santa Claus," I was so happy. I just thought it was perfect for that little spot over there in the corner. Now, in order to keep my embellishment clusters together, I used a tip or a trick that I learned from Jama, and that is to use Glad Press and Seal. It's just an easy way to keep everything together as a group and be able to move it around without everything falling apart on you, and it doesn't leave any sticky residue. I'm really liking my little holly cluster there behind my picture, and then the trees on the circle die cut. Those two are probably my favorite embellishment clusters of this layout. Let's go ahead and review the sketch that I used as a springboard. I stayed relatively close to the sketch. The paper is largely the same. I have the different strips towards the middle and across down there. And I've got a banner, but my banner is narrower than what's called for in the sketch. My title is in the same placement as the sketch, but I do not have the two different journaling areas. I just have one little area. I'm really impressed with how relatively quick and easy this was to put together. I really believe following a sketch and using the papers from a kit helped out with that. I hope you enjoyed watching this process and maybe even feel inspired to scrapbook some of your own holiday memories. Let me know if you've ever been to Silver Dollar City during the Christmas season and what your favorite memories are. I'd love to hear from you.